The following program contains themes and images that may not be suitable for most audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Don't forget to follow us on social media at Panda Pig Inc. Rate, review, and subscribe. Welcome to our true crime segment.
I do have a PowerPoint for this one.
Oh, okay. Hold on. You're going to hear a couple clicking.
Episode 7.
Clicking. Where is it?
It's in the episode 7 folder.
Okay. You see, like how we're so organized?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, episode 7.
Oh, I see you're here.
Oh, you see me?
I see you.
I'm scared. Why do you see me?
I can see that you're here with me.
Okay. All right, so what's going on? Let's go.
So
our true crime segment.
I'm going to tell you ahead of time. I'm not necessarily telling this case in chronological order because there are a lot of elements to it.
Oh,
so
okay.
Please let me know if you get confused along the way. I've tried my best to make it the least confusing. But I will try to let you know timelines and what's going on.
I'll try to see if my brain will work right now.
Okay, so continually stop me when you need me to stop.
Oh, you know I will.
Okay.
Is that you? Is that you? I see you. Or in Google Drive, guys, so we can see each other.
Yeah, see, I told you I saw you. You're here with me.
You're here.
Alrighty. Are you ready?
Let me move this real quick. I want to make sure. Okay. I'm ready.
Okay. So, today I'm going to tell you about the murders of Jerry Hillard and Marilyn Green.
Oh, okay. Let's
Alrighty.
do it. How old are they?
So, about 1 a.m. on August 15th, 1982, the police are called to the pool in Washington Park on the south side of Chicago. The scene was 2 teenagers had been shot.
So they're teenagers. Mm-hmm. How old? Like 16? It just says
18
teenagers.
and 19.
Okay, 18, 19.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So upon arrival, a teenage female holding her bleeding neck runs out the gate past Chicago officers at Anderson and Liache. Another officer, Officer Johnson, pulls up to the scene as well, and the female runs past them and the Officer Johnson puts her in his car to go to the hospital.
This is Marilyn Green is the teenager?
Yes.
Okay, she's a female. All right.
They, the other officers, Officer Liache and Officer Anderson, they run south behind the bleachers and they see a man fleeing the area. They searched him, but found no weapon, and they let him go.
Okay.
So Officer Dwyer, a fourth officer, he enters the pool area, and he sees in the bleachers a teenage male, Jerry Hillard, laying there shot.
Yikes.
He asks 2 of the witnesses there to help him carry down Jerry to be transported to the hospital.
So he was still alive, or was he dead at that point?
Both of them were still alive.
Okay, so they were just dying.
Okay.
Once
they got to the hospital, they died of their injuries.
Dang.
Jerry and Marilyn were engaged.
What?
Okay.
That's so sad.
So I'm not gonna explain the evidence first. I'll give you the public's perspective of kind of what happens next.
Okay.
And then we'll get into it. Okay.
Right.
So
go.
warrant is issued for the arrest of a man named Anthony Porter. Officer Liache.
Is that this next dude that I see in the slideshow?
Yes. Officer Liache identifies Anthony Porter as the man that he and Officer Anderson stopped behind the bleachers.
I'm surprised they let him go if he was the only one they saw. You would think they'd take him, but because I guess they didn't have anything.
So this true crime segment is heavily based off a documentary that I watched.
Okay.
And I watched it with my sister, and we both had the exact same thought that you did. Why let him go just because he wasn't carrying a gun? It's very easy to toss a gun away from your hand.
I just assumed, if he was around, whoever is around and running around, you would think, just take them in, just to question them to see what they saw or something,
Exactly.
Okay.
So, in 1983, 27-year-old Anthony Porter is convicted and sentenced to death for the murders of Jerry and Marilyn.
He's 19?
27.
Oh, he's 27.
It was in 1983, so the following year.
Okay, so he's 27 years old. Why did he kill them? Okay.
Yeah, so I'll let you know when you go to the next slide, but not yet.
Okay, so we're...
So now, after exhausting all of his appeals, his execution date is set for September 23rd, 1998.
Okay.
So this is 16 years later, I believe.
Interesting, okay.
So at this point, pro bono attorneys, meaning that they're doing this for free, they had Anthony Porter's IQ tested, and it came out to be 51.
What is that on the IQ thing?
So on the IQ scale, it's considered to be extremely low. I think under 60 is really low.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, to kind of give you a point of reference, the average person, and I'm not looking at exact stats here, but I'm thinking they're probably like in the 90s, low hundreds. Mm-hmm. And then for some perspective, like Forrest Gump, he was considered to have, even though he's a fictional character, he was considered to have IQ in like the 70s.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a perspective of how low his IQ was.
Okay, that makes sense. No. All right.
So if you remember, as we talked, we referenced The Man and the Bear a lot in this episode. So in the episode...
that one was just so vivid, man. It was a good episode.
In that episode, we talked about also the murder of Renee Hartfelt by Issei Sagawa.
That was the cannibal episode, guys.
And we talked about how you need to be considered mentally sound in different degrees to stand trial and be convicted of certain crimes.
Right.
So since Anthony Porter was already convicted of the crime, and it was still legal at this time to execute someone who was considered to have a diminished capacity,
right.
Technically, the fact that his IQ was 51 doesn't really mean anything. But his legal team was trying to argue that his diminished capacity meant that he was incapable of understanding the punishment that he was about to have.
So he literally, if he was the one who killed them, then obviously he knows what he did.
So
that's if he did it.
So this is about 50 hours before the execution. A stay of execution is granted by the Illinois Supreme Court.
Okay.
So, if you turn to the next slide.
What does it have to do with this one that I'm looking at? The Northwestern University one? What does it have to do with it?
You know what? I'm about to tell you.
Oh. So now you wanted me to click on it. I had been on it. I don't know what it's about.
Girl, I told you I would let you know when you could move on to the next one.
Your little icon.
Don't follow me. Don't follow my icon. Follow my voice.
Whatever.
Good God, woman. Follow directions. I said I will tell you when to move to the next slide. Not I will show you.
Anthony Porter, okay. Okay. I'm here.
So
I'm with you now.
Alrighty. So, professor, author, and leader of the Northwestern University's Innocence Project, David Protest, took this opportunity to have his journalism students take another look at the case. So Protest was an accomplished individual. He had also worked in a similar way on a case called the Ford Heights 4, where he was a part of having an innocent man exonerated from his crimes.
Interesting.
So he has his students go to the crime scene and reenact the crime. What they found was that the lead witness, William Taylor, could not have seen Anthony Porter shoot Jerry Hillard and Marilyn Green from where he was standing.
Interesting.
They recorded William Taylor recanting his testimony. And the word recant means like to take back.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a recording of William Taylor recanting his testimony. They also have a videotaped recording of an individual named Inez Jackson stating that she was a witness to the crime and that the murder was actually committed by her ex-husband, Al Story Simon.
What is going on?
They also have a video from Al Story Simon confessing to the murders.
What?
So, 2 days later, after his execution is stayed, Anthony Porter is released on September 21st, 1999, from prison.
That's good. Because if he didn't do it, that's good.
Yeah. So if you turn to the next slide, you will see the three individuals: William Taylor, Inez Jackson, and Al Story Simon.
Okay.
So these images are screenshotted from their videos of reading their statements.
Okay.
Alrighty. Now, the world was really taken by this story. And it was kind of, there was a lot of press about it, lots of videos of Anthony Porter being released.
Did people feel like they speculated this whole thing? They're like,
No, people were excited. People were very happy. Someone who was innocent has been released and the real person is going to get convicted.
Even though they don't know which one it is.
But this wasn't what meets the eye. So the students' objective was to find evidence to free Anthony Porter. In 1999, when the students did the reenactment, concluding that William Taylor's testimony was wrong, that his view was obstructed and he wouldn't have been able to see the crime take place,
right?
They said that the murder took place in the corner of the bleachers. What? But according to the police report and the crime scene photos, that isn't where the murder took place.
Yo, who messed with the evidence?
And the fence that supposedly would have obstructed his view didn't exist in 1982.
What?
They also claimed that William Taylor was the only witness and that him recanting his statement meant there was no evidence against Anthony Porter.
What?
But William Taylor wasn't the only witness. He was one of 7 witnesses.
Yo, what is going on? Why everybody lying? Why you all lying?
If you go to the next slide, you can see a representation of the exact bleachers. Okay. So the picture in the bottom corner is what they look like today. Okay?
Bottom right?
Yes. The picture in the top left corner shows a little arrow to where the crime scene happened, and the second body that doesn't have a label over it is where the students say the crime took place.
What the heck?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty far away.
So, here are the facts of the case that I previously withheld from you.
How dare they?
When Marilyn Green was shot, she held her hand up to block her face, and the gunshot went through her hand into her neck.
Ah!
And that's why she was holding it bleeding when she ran out.
Yikes.
The investigators thought it was an attempted robbery because her necklace was found on the ground.
But really, it probably just broke off when she got shot in the neck.
And Jerry Hillard was shot in the head.
Ouch.
A total of 5 shots were fired.
On his head?
In total for both Marilyn and Jerry.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk to you about the witnesses.
Oh, God.
So these witnesses were a part of the evidence in the original case against Anthony Porter, which for some reason were completely dismissed by the Northwestern University students when they reinvestigated the case.
Wait, why'd they dismiss it? They're literally the ones who were like, oh, we know stuff. What?
Well, let me tell you about the witnesses, okay?
Okay.
So in 1982, when the murder took place, the investigators initially had 2 witnesses, William Taylor and Henry Williams. Henry Williams,
Who the hell's Henry Williams?
By the time that they reinvestigated the case, Henry Williams had passed away.
Oh, dang.
But they were each taken, at the time of the crime, they were each taken to the crime scene independently to reenact the crime. Both say they saw Marilyn Green and her fiancé Jerry Hillard sitting in the bleachers. So I can't remember the name of the festival or the celebration, but it was a celebration that day in the community. There was a bunch of floats and things like that. Was it in February? No, it was in August. So it was in August, and everybody went to the local pool that night. Like, obviously it was closed to the public, but a bunch of kids, they hopped the fence to go swimming. And the cops said, like, they're not going to go and get anybody for trespassing. They're just going swimming.
Right.
So that's what Henry Williams and William Taylor went to do. By the way, this is very confusing because their first name and last names are interchangeable. So I'll do my best not to get them mixed up.
I just realized, William Taylor, Henry Williams.
Yeah. So they go swimming, and when Henry Williams is about to get in the pool, Anthony Porter approaches him from behind and puts a gun to his head.
What?
To rob him of whatever money he's got. And he's only got $2, so he gives it to Anthony Porter.
Okay.
Anthony Porter walks away with another man to go sit in the bleachers next to Marilyn Green and Jerry Hillard.
Okay.
So William Taylor initially said that he saw the shooting but didn't know the offender initially. But he later admitted that he had hopped out of the pool, turned to the bleachers, and saw Anthony Porter pointing a gun to kill Marilyn Green and Jerry Hillard.
What?
And seeing Porter run to the back stairs. So William Taylor and Henry Williams said they hopped the fence and ran away because they were scared.
But why would William Taylor say he did it?
No, William Taylor said he saw Anthony Porter shoot.
No, I'm talking about before.
Because they were scared of Anthony Porter.
So that's why that's why he admitted to doing it before?
So, no, William Taylor.
Yeah, I'm talking about when you told me about, like, the William Taylor, Inez Jackson, and...
No, that's Alice Story Simon. So, William Taylor initially So, at this point, this is in 1982. He hasn't recanted his testimony yet.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So initially, he didn't come forward with his full testimony. Initially, he said, hey, I saw the shooting, but I don't know the dude who did it. Because he was scared. Then,
okay.
So then the police are talking to him, and Henry Williams kind of, encourages them to tell the truth. And they admit that, yeah, they both saw it was Anthony Porter. Because William Taylor had seen, I can't remember if it was earlier in the week or earlier that year, but he had seen Anthony Porter rob elderly people, and he was scared for the safety of his grandmother. So,
I feel bad for the grandma too.
So that's why, so that's why he didn't say anything at first.
Okay.
So I won't go through what each witness saw, but all of them basically saw the same thing.
Okay.
There were a total of 7 witnesses at this time. Kenneth Edwards, Michael Woodfork, Eugene Beckwith, William Taylor, Henry Williams, Mark Sr., and Officer Anthony Liache, because he saw Anthony Porter fleeing.
Okay. I was about to say, an officer saw, yo.
In 2006, so this is a bit of a time jump, but a new witness came forward, and that was Ray Brown. At the time of the shooting, he was 13, and for the same reasons, he didn't say anything. He was scared. But later
he was 13 years old.
Right, and later on, he did come forward. So all the people who were there that night were, went to the pool to hang out, went to swim, but they all corroborated the same story, that they saw Anthony Porter in the bleachers stand up and shoot Jerry Hillard and Marilyn Green. Okay. So
this is why he got arrested in the first place.
Yes. From all of that witness testimony, besides, I think, Kenneth Edwards and Ray Brown, because their testimonies came out years later, but based on those witness statements, that is why Anthony Porter was arrested.
Wow.
That's all in the original report. It's all the original information. Now, your question was, why the heck did the Northwestern students ignore all of this evidence? So, The Northwestern students obviously
It makes sense now, considering this is the reason why he got arrested in the first place.
So they didn't talk to any of the other witnesses. Their defense was saying that, oh, it was too dark for the witness to have seen everything, or we didn't know there was other witnesses. You know, David Protest says, you know, that they obviously didn't look at them at all. You know, but it's later on that we'll kind of get more clarification.
Okay.
So if William Taylor saw Anthony Porter shoot them, why would he recant his statement in 1999? Right? Because they've got a video of him admitting that that's not what happened. Well, if you go to, the next slide was the list of the names of the witnesses. Mm-hmm. And if you go to the slide, no, stay on that slide. Don't go to the next slide. Okay. You can go back to the slide of the Northwestern students.
Okay.
So if you look on there, there's a man named Paul Cialino. Mm-hmm. So he is a private detective,
Italian.
Private investigator that was assisting. Yes, that was assisting the Northwestern students and the professor on the case. Mm-hmm. So he and one of the university students went to William Taylor's apartment to speak with him. And they told William Taylor that it's for the greater good for him to admit that he was wrong about his statement. Cialino provided William Taylor an affidavit, which is a sworn statement, pre-written out, a new statement, and basically manipulated William Taylor to sign it. Like, they pretty much harassed him.
Dang!
They said...
y'all some savage students, yo.
Basically, it was mostly the PI strong-arming, but basically they were saying, like, this man is gonna die because you lied, or things like that. So he's scared, and he wants them to leave him alone. He just wants this to end, so he's like, okay, fine.
I'll sign it, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And they videotape it.
Okay.
The students even spoke to Marilyn Green's mother, and they told her that they were looking at a new suspect. So they're covering all these areas.
Okay. They sound savage as hell.
Mm-hmm. So David protests, and 2 of the female students drive to Milwaukee from Chicago. Okay.
I said he protested, and I was like, what? Then I realized his last name is Protest.
Another David.
Here we go again.
So, they knock on the door of Alice Story Simon. So, they say that his name popped up in an investigation that they're working on, and they wanted to ask him about the victims. Mm-hmm. He said he didn't know anything about their deaths, and they talked for like 5 minutes. When the girls were leaving and Simon was walking them out, David Protest got out of the SUV, so he wasn't with them when they were talking to Simon. He gets out of the SUV on the girls' way out, and he walks towards Simon, thanks him, gives him his business card, and tells him that an innocent man is going to die for what Alice Story Simon did, and says he knows that Alice Story Simon killed those victims.
Yo!
The students and David Protest talked to Inez Jackson, Alice Story Simon's ex-wife.
Okay.
They bought her groceries and a space heater.
Of course they did.
They videotaped her testimony.
They buttered her up.
Mm-hmm. She said that Hillard, Jerry Hillard, one of the victims, was a fellow gang member of her ex-husband, Alice Story Simon, and that they argued over money. She said she heard 2 gunshots. Later, when the police questioned her, she didn't have the right details. She couldn't remember how many shots. She couldn't remember who was there.
It's because they didn't butter her up.
Mm-hmm. So all of that happened in 1999. So before he was released, they got this information.
Okay.
So now, how in the heck did they get Alice Story Simon to admit to killing Jerry Hillard and Marilyn Green? So one night, Simon is high on cocaine, and someone knocked on his door at 6:30 in the morning. It was Paul Cialino and this other guy named Arnold Reed.
Okay.
So they've got weapons and a tripod. They're claiming to be police from Chicago. They push Simon back into his house. Chilino's standing over him with a reed, like walking room to room to see if anybody's there.
That doesn't help considering he is high out of his mind.
He is high on cocaine. So Chilino says he knows that Simon committed the murders. He shows Simon this video of a man providing testimony and making allegations against Alastair Simon. Chilino turns on the TV, and David Protest is on TV talking about how they figured out that Alastair Simon's the real killer and everything like that.
Okay.
So, and they show Alastair Simon Inez Jackson's video saying that Alastair Simon committed the murders.
Is this part of the whole getup because he's high and they have that footage? Or is it real that he's actually on TV and this is happening?
So this is real. Okay. So they actually got the video of Inez Jackson. David Protest was actually on TV. Jeez. And Alastair Simon was high on cocaine, but that wasn't the doing of Paul Chilino. That was his own addiction issues.
Yeah.
So Chilino says they have evidence to put Alastair Simon on death row.
Yo.
Chilino then admits that he's not a cop, but that they're private investigators. And he tells Simon that all they want to do is stop the execution of Anthony Porter. And Alastair Simon only has a half an hour to say that he committed the murders in self-defense. They tell Simon he's going to be paid off, he's never going to work again. And so
what the heck?
Alastair Simon is sitting there, and Paul Chilino puts his hand on his gun, kind of in a threatening way. Mm-hmm. And Alastair Simon goes to reach for the phone, but gets blocked by Arnold Reed, the other investigator.
Yeah.
And Arnold Reed pulls out his gun to Alastair Simon. And Chilino tells Alastair Simon that if he cooperates, he's guaranteed millions of dollars in movies and book deals, right?
What the heck?
So Chilino writes this affidavit, remember, a sworn statement for Alastair Simon, and they rehearse it and rehearse it and rehearse it because Alastair Simon is freaking high.
Yeah, so he has no...
So they're rehearsing it. And then finally they record it.
Is this even legal? He's high.
So
the heck?
And in the tape, when you look at it, Alastair Simon's basically looking down the whole time because he's got the paper right next to him for reference because he's so high he can't remember it off the top of his head.
Right.
Right. So this is absolutely not legal.
Thank you. I was going to say, this does not sound legal.
First of all, they're threatening him. They're
he's literally under the influence. He's vulnerable.
And they're not police officers. They're private investigators. So this video that they take of Alastair Simon, it goes straight to the news outlets. It doesn't go to the police.
Yo.
And after the video is broadcasted, the state's attorneys make moves to release Anthony Porter without ever even having the tapes in their possession.
They just decide, hey,
to release him
on TV.
From seeing it on TV.
As seen on TV, guys.
That, you just don't understand how bananas that is.
Wow.
That it's released without the U.S. attorneys even authenticating the video at all.
What?
They make moves to release him.
What?
So Paul Chilino promises Simon he's going to have the best defense attorney, okay?
Okay.
So he gets him Jack Rimland, who actually turns out to be a buddy of Paul Chilino. So Rimland tells Simon that the evidence against him is super strong. And he even lies to him, telling him that Alastair Simon is also a suspect in a murder case in Milwaukee.
Is that real, though?
No.
Yo!
He's lying. He's straight up lying. He encourages Alastair Simon to provide apology to Marilyn Green's mother, Marilyn Green, the victim, in an email. So, he even writes him in an email to tell him to apologize to Marilyn Green's mom. Alastair Simon tells him the whole deal. He tells him that he's innocent and everything. And this is how Rimland is operating.
What the heck?
So after Simon is convicted in 1999, which typically, I mean, all the time, when you're convicted and sentenced to death, you have almost like unlimited appeals. So after he's convicted, he gets a formal letter from Rimland saying that their professional relationship is over. What? So this defense attorney gets Al Story Simon convicted and then says, yo, we need to break up.
Yo, what?
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't do it.
He did not do it. So
what the heck?
Paul Ciulino, like, he even admits, like, on TV that he, quote-unquote, bull rushed the confession and used harsh tactics.
Yeah, you did. That's an understatement, bro.
And kind of another time jump for Inez Jackson. In 2005, she admitted on video that she lied.
Oh, yeah, of course she did. She got buttered up.
She said that David Protest promised that there would be books written and a movie. She died shortly after she made that confession. She didn't want to go to her deathbed having lied. Mm-hmm. So it turns out David Protest kind of has a history of doing this. This sort of thing that he does. And
come on, Professor. What are you doing, yo?
So here's where we get to the kind of some crazy stuff. So
this wasn't already crazy?
Oh, it gets more crazy.
No.
So remember, Anthony Porter gets released and he's going to die in 1999, okay?
Okay.
So in 1998, the year before, and remember, David Protest says that he used Anthony Porter's stay of execution as an opportunity for his students.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in 1998, the year before, there are emails between David Protest and Paul Ciulino telling him to find the guy that they were certain was the killer.
What?
So basically, this stuff is starting a whole year before. And you remember when Al Story Simon was being bull rushed into confessing, how they showed him the video of the man providing the allegations against him? That was an actor.
That's messed up,
Not
dude.
even a real person.
That's so messed. This man has been done so dirty.
The same year, 1998...
Don't do drugs, kids.
The Northwestern students met with Anthony Porter in prison. Okay? So after speaking with David Protest, Anthony Porter sets up this conspiracy. So you can go to the next page, the next slide now, okay? So you can kind of see all the players. So you've got David Protest, Anthony Porter. They talk. He sets up a conspiracy from prison with this man named Walter Jackson. So Anthony Porter saved Walter Jackson from getting shanked on the playground in prison. Walter Jackson is Inez Jackson's nephew. Okay? So Anthony Porter and Walter Jackson team up. Walter Jackson tells his aunt Inez to frame Al Story Simon for the murder. And if she does, that Walter Jackson and her son, Sonny Jackson, will get help to be released from prison by David Protest.
What?
Mm-hmm. And the affidavit, remember when Al Story Simon was being pushed to confess, how he had him sign the affidavit? The affidavit was word for word from Walter Jackson's fake testimony.
This is so messed up.
So, to understand how this even happened, so 1999, right?
Gosh.
When this is all come out, right? So, this is after the videos have been made from Inez Jackson, Al Story Simon, William Taylor, and after they've made moves to have Anthony Porter released, they pull a grand jury to review all of the evidence. Okay?
Right.
So the first grand jury is just purely a review. They explicitly tell the jury that they're not moving to make an indictment against Simon, but they're only helping the prosecution to look at the evidence and re-review it based on everything that's come out, right? Okay. So they're looking at everything. They're hearing from all of the witnesses, and this is 1999, okay?
Okay.
So they're hearing from all of the witnesses, all the information, right? And this is before Al Story Simon is ever convicted of anything. So we're kind of in a between period. And it's very clear that the Northwestern students have no case. Like, they didn't look at all the witnesses, they botched the reenactment, you know, clearly it's messed up. So basically, useless. Yeah, so basically the grand jury determines that the police were right, that Anthony Porter did commit the crime. So, and this went on for over a month. The grand jury was held for a month. So once that grand jury convenes, remember, they didn't make moves to convict Al Story Simon. They hold a second grand jury, okay, the following month. And these are completely different jurors, and they are presented with only a fraction of the evidence in a single afternoon.
What?
And they heard none of the original witnesses. They didn't hear anything about the Northwestern students or David protests and their sketchiness. They didn't hear anything about the skepticism of the new testimonies. And
so what did they get?
So they got freaking scraps, and based on that grand jury, they indicted Al Story Simon.
What?
And that's how he was convicted of the crime, even though as far back as 1999, they knew Anthony Porter did it. So, so there are kind of some fallbacks here of why this happened. So you remember when Al Story Simon's confession video came out, and the state's attorney's office immediately made moves to have Porter released. Well, clearly they jumped the gun, right?
Yes.
And there's some contention between the attorneys as to whether or not it was a political decision that they just had to move quickly and save face, or that they just believed that they were wrong. Like, there's no clear answer from the state's attorney's office, but clearly this happening, I believe, is their fault. Okay?
Right.
So, Al Story Simon gets 37 years in prison.
Oof.
So, and you remember when he gets convicted, Rimlin is his attorney, and Rimlin's like, no, dude, I got your back. 37 years is great. You could have been put on death row, blah, blah, blah. So, to understand false confessions, it's such a difficult thing to imagine, because you can't imagine admitting to something you didn't do. But there are so many elements at play that could lead to a false confession, and Al Story Simon's situation almost checks off every single box. Because he was high, so he was paranoid. And could you imagine, you're high on cocaine, and two strangers come in your house, and they start showing you videos of people saying that you absolutely committed a murder. Right? That sounds
they just
like
bombard you with all this information.
That sounds like an episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So
incredibly.
And he thinks that, okay, this is the best thing that's going to happen to me. They're going to give me money. I'm going to be okay. You know, blah, blah, blah. Well, once Simon reads the transcripts, he sees that the evidence against him was barely anything. So this whole time he's been told that his conviction's a sure thing. Like, this evidence is so strong. And he sees that he was totally duped. So he files his own motion for appeal in 2001.
How many years has he been in jail at this point?
At this point, he'd only been in jail for 3.
Okay.
And he filed his own motion and said that he was innocent and he was coerced, but his petition was denied.
Dang.
He got a new attorney, filed a new petition, denied. Okay?
He's not getting a break.
So here's kind of the aftermath, okay?
Okay.
So 2011, David Protests gets suspended from the university because he was altering archived emails.
Bro. What are you doing, man? You're a professor. Stop putting your foot where it's not supposed to go.
So he has since formed his own Chicago Innocence Project, right? So in 2013, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office reopened the case. And the following year, in 2014, they vacated the charges against Al Story Simon. So he's free to go. And in the documentary, you see them taking him out to dinner.
He's been in jail at how many years at this point?
15 years and 8 months for a crime he didn't commit.
That's insane.
That they knew he didn't commit in 1999.
That's insane.
And now you're probably wondering, how come Protests and Cialino are not arrested?
I'm also wondering what's happened to Anthony Porter.
I'll get there.
Okay.
So by the time of 2014, for any crimes that they could have been charged with, the statute of limitations had already passed. And the statute of limitations means that there are certain crimes that if committed a certain period of time ago, you cannot be convicted of that crime.
What?
So, Al Story Simon filed a lawsuit against the Northwestern University's Innocence Project in 2015.
This is after he got out?
After he got out, and he was awarded a settlement in 2018. So good for him.
That's good.
Now your last question. What happened to Anthony Porter? Well, my dear, I must regretfully inform you about double jeopardy.
Oh, no.
What double jeopardy means is that you cannot be tried for the same crime twice. So because Anthony Porter was tried once, convicted, and then exonerated, he cannot be tried for the same crime again.
What? Is that seriously real?
That is 1,000% real, my dear.
Come on, America.
So double jeopardy is a good thing, even though in this case it sucks.
Because he did it again, didn't he?
No.
Oh.
No, he didn't do it. Well, I don't know what he did with the rest of his life, to be honest.
Oh.
But double jeopardy is a good thing as long as the government is doing their job, which we know they don't do all the time. So it prevents you from being basically harassed by the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
You know, if you really didn't commit a crime, like basically without double jeopardy, they could just get constant do-overs. And you could be in court for the rest of your life.
That makes sense.
So it's in place to protect the individual, but the problem here is that the state's attorney's office didn't do their freaking job and followed zero protocols. Like, they basically could have, they released him on false grounds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you've heard kind of about the crimes of that's happened here, okay?
Yeah.
Crazy.
All kinds of crimes.
Now let me tell you the biggest crime of this whole story.
I don't even know what's the biggest crime at this point. That's a lot of crimes.
The biggest crime of this whole story is that it completely forgets about Jerry Hillard and Marilyn Green.
Yeah?
They are completely lost in this. And while researching this case, I kind of almost cried. Because as you know, what I like to do is I like to kind of look up about personal things about the victims.
Yeah.
To kind of give some backstory and different stuff about them.
Mm-hmm.
And the only information I know about Jerry Hillard is that he was 18 or 19 years old.
Seriously?
I know nothing else. That picture you saw first, I don't even know
half of his face.
I don't even know if that is Jerry Hillard.
Dang.
From watching the documentary, they didn't explicitly say any pictures of who was Jerry Hillard. That picture of Marilyn Green is Marilyn Green. When you go on Google and you search the names Marilyn Green and Jerry Hillard, there is 0 pictures of them.
That's so sad.
The only pictures are of the Northwestern students, Anthony Porter and Al Story Simon, or even Inez Jackson. Not a single photo of them. If you search faces of Jerry Hillard and Marilyn Green, not a single photo. The most information that I have about Marilyn Green is a single line from the documentary that said she was a mother of 2.
And we don't even know what happened to those 2 kids.
The only other information I have of Marilyn Green is on the last slide, which is from her grave. That just says some basic bio information. That she was born August 23rd, 1962. That she died at the age of 19 on August 15th, 1982. That her father was Andrew Davis and her mother was Ophelia Green. And that she's currently laid to rest at the at the Oak Ridge Cemetery.
That's it?
That is all that I know. Now,
they never really got justice either, which really no justice. Sucks.
They get zero justice.
Everyone got selfish and started focusing on everything else.
There's this one article that has the same sentiments. When I was researching this case, 4 hours, I was trying to use the Wayback Machine. I was trying to change whatever. I could not find an obituary, nothing.
That's so sad.
I was getting creative. So
as you do.
There's this one article by Peter V. Bella called Justice for Alice Story Simon, No Justice for Marilyn Green and Jerry Hillard. It was written October 30th, 2014, and there's just some lines from this that, like, I feel are really powerful.
What were the lines?
Okay. So one is, left out of the story, except in passing, are Marilyn Green and Jerry Hillard. They are 2 people who were murdered in 1982. No one is speaking for them. They have no news media cheerleaders. Academics are not coming out of the ivy to speak for them, like they did for David Protest when he was discredited. Powerful progressives are silent. They are dead. It is as if they never existed. They do not count or matter in the running narrative of a train wreck. Lost in all the publicity were Marilyn Green and Jerry Hillard. No one made a name for them. No school gained renown on their account. No reporters wrote about them or mentioned them on television. Protest, Porter, and Simon got all the ink and pixels.
Wow.
So that's I cried when I was researching it. I'm kind of a baby, but it just, usually I can get a line, just a single line, like even with Eduardo Sanchez from last week.
The man in
the wall. The man who's found in Canada.
The one you couldn't really find information on either.
At least we knew he was a DJ.
Yeah.
And he liked music.
Yeah.
And that he was a good brother and a great son.
You found at least something.
But with Jerry Hillard, nothing.
Zilch.
Nothing but his name. Not even a birth year. And with Marilyn Green, you see...
Well, you got his age.
You got his age.
So you could get his birth year from the day.
But not his birthday.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the documentary, which is an excellent documentary, you do see them see words from Marilyn Green's mother and sister, but it's more about the case, nothing about her. So the real crime that I'm telling you about today is of the murder of Marilyn Green and Jerry Hillard. And of course, Alice Story Simon is a great travesty that he was put in prison.
Yeah.
But if people advocated as hard for Marilyn Green and Jerry Hillard as hard as they advocated for Anthony Porter, they would have justice and maybe more would be known about them.
Yeah. That's why you shouldn't always believe what you see on TV. I always...
Especially the state's attorney's office. Don't believe confessions you see on TV.
Like, yo, come on now.
Maybe actually have them and validate them first.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, come on now.
So that is
the lesson, guys, is don't believe everything you see on TV and don't do drugs.
Yeah. So my main source for this, and of course little tidbits from Wikipedia or whatever, but my main source of information was a documentary called A Murder in the Park. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's really well done. The visuals are amazing, and even though it doesn't, Marilyn Green and Jerry Hillard are merely a footnote in the story, it's still very informative on the situation.
That's good. At least there's something. Jeez. Are you okay?
Sorry, I was passionate about this one.
I could tell. You got into that one.
Yes.
But for the most part, I was able to keep up.
So my connection to this case for the Bones episode was obviously last-minute stay of execution.
Yeah.
And where the person who was stayed of the execution was the true murderer in the first place.
Yep. A lot of connections.
So and kind of
guys,
point there.
If you are just listening and something made if it did not make sense, we are on YouTube, so you could see visuals there.
Yes.
And if you just want to just watch the true crime segment, we will have it posted.
Yeah, we split it in half. So if you're just interested in listening to true crime segment, I'll probably end up using a lot of imagery from the documentary as reference.
Especially so that we can keep track of what's happening.
Yes, I know it's kind of confusing, but the documentary kind of jumps around too. But if I told it in their order, you'd be way more confused.
Yeah.
But watching it, it's an enjoyable experience. So, yeah, check out our YouTube video, rest of our social media. We're on
review and subscribe.
Yes, please give us a
we need
review.
Some feedback, guys.
Yeah, because I mean, if we annoy you, tell us what annoys you about us. We want to get about you. We want to get better. We want to we have a lot of fun doing this.
I mean, if you like us, then give us the good stuff.
Let us
like us,
validate us or critique us. You pick.
You do whatever your heart. If you want us to do something else, we could do something else. We'll keep this on the side, but we could do other stuff too. We like other things. But even if you guys don't, we probably will do stuff anyway, so you could stay tuned for that. We like a lot of stuff, so we'll probably try it anyway.
Yeah, so let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time. And if we haven't, completely turned you off, and you don't find us completely irritating,
let's hang next week.
Yeah, don't turn us off.
Please don't turn us off.
Stay turned on.
Thank you.
I just did finger guns.
You did not just do finger guns.
I still have finger guns in the air.
Goodbye, guys. Have a good one. We'll catch y'all next week.
Good night.
Good night. Good morning. Good evening. Good afternoon.
Yeah, let's go to bed.
Goodbye. Next week on The Heart and the Bones.
So the idea of Hallmark hot means that the person in really any other context just looks like an average person, but in the context
I know what you're talking
of a Hallmark movie, they're like the male lead and they're seen as like super attractive.
But they're totally not.
But they're really not.